नमस्कार दोस्तों, मैं हूं आपके साथ चित्रांश सक्सेना और आप देख रहे हैं जनता का सवाल टेक पोस्ट पर। यहाँ हम आप ही के कुछ सवाल एक्सपर्ट से जानने की कोशिश करते हैं और आज के इस कार्यक्रम में हमारे साथ मौजूद हैं लेफ्टिनेंट कर्नल पुनीत सक्सेना। ही इज़ अ पल्मोनोलॉजिस्ट एट आर्मी हॉस्पिटल। सर, अ वेरी warm hearted welcome to you for joining us today. We also have Shruti Sharma from the Red Post family. I would like to move on to the first question. How do you see the change in work culture apart from the daily routine in this pandemic? And what is the change in the workload during this period?
Has completely changed the work culture. See, I'm basically a pulmonologist, and all my patients are patients suffering from lung diseases. So there are multiple ways in most patients are scared to come to the hospital, and rightly so, because when they come to the hospital, they get exposed to a lot of patients, and even if they do not have the infection, they may get infected. So the first problem is that patients, they actually end up in the hospital at a stage when it's too late. They come straight away with an emergency when they should have come actually a week before or 2 weeks before, because there's a general scare in patients coming to the hospital, which is not unfounded. Second problem is that when the moment a patient comes, we first have to screen for presence or absence of coronavirus, because of which there is a little bit of treatment delay, because the treatment of coronavirus and management of these patients totally differs from the usual things, and most respiratory illnesses can mimic the same symptoms and signs. So there is a slight delay in appropriate management of the patients. So I feel the challenge is on both the sides. The doctors, the healthcare workers, as well as the patients, both are facing a lot of problem. And almost all the hospitals, they have divided their hospitals into COVID care zones and non-COVID care zones. So those areas of the hospital that look after COVID patients, and those areas which do not look after COVID patients. And sometimes the boundary between these two are they're not very tight. Sometimes it's very difficult to really triage and screen the patients and put them in their appropriate places. So these are difficult times for healthcare workers as well as for the patients.
Yes, sir. How do you feel this kind of pressure when you go work at your office or when you get back to your home that you might be carrying this virus? And how is your family reacting that you're working on the front line? And how do you bear with this pressure?
See, it has been a continuous process. As we entered into the pandemic in the month of March, and obviously at that time, the knowledge about the thing, the way it came and struck us, and the concerns of the family, everything was a little different. But now, we have grown together with the pandemic. The way pandemic is involved, we have also evolved along with the pandemic. And so now, my family is a part of it. Doctor does not fight alone. The whole family fights along with the doctor, because so my wife, my son, they're into the fight with me. So they're also aware as anybody else would be, and we're all into it. So the concerns are there. Concerns are there for the family, but right now it is all hands on the deck. So everybody, we as healthcare workers and our families, all of us are heart and soul into the pandemic. This is a war for us. This is once in a lifetime war, and
Right,
we
right.
have to put everything in.
Hats off to your dedication, sir. Your doctors and health workers are working day and night, sacrificing their own security. That's a big job, and you all are fighting China and its virus simultaneously.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you're right.
yeah,
We're fighting the China and its virus simultaneously, and I think at least when you're at the border, you know your enemy. The problem is
yeah,
that you do not really know your enemy. So it is fighting an unknown enemy with unknown ammunition and unknown weapons that you're fighting.
and here you
So
can't
it's
even see your
interesting.
enemy.
Yeah, you can't see your enemy. It's the enemy is in a stealth mode. So it's interesting. But nevertheless, we take all precautions. We have personal protective equipment. We use all kinds of protective equipment in the hospital when we deal this with patients, and
Yes,
we
yes.
wash ourselves completely when we come back to our home environment. But yes, concerns are always there. The risks are there. But so far we're doing well. So like in our hospital, in last 3 months, we have had around 30 to 40 healthcare workers who have fallen sick because of coronavirus infection. But fortunately, all of them did well. All of them recovered. All of them did well. So this disease is more a problem for those who are elderly, who are sick, who have multiple underlying medical conditions. They are the ones who really get badly hit because of the infection. Most healthy people like you and me, even if we get infected, most of us, I mean, I would say 80 to 90% of us would not really get seriously affected by the disease. We would even if we get infected, we will improve in a matter of 7 to 10 days. So it is more of a concern for the vulnerable people of the society, the elderly, the people who are having multiple underlying medical conditions.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay. My next question to you is, sir, seeing the Europe and seeing how healthcare facilities there are, and seeing India, comparing both the situations, we have really controlled COVID situation to a to a large extent. But now, as we see, the cases are surging up. So, how do you compare the situation? Did you feel any time that this situation might get worsened and we might not be able to control?
So you see, you must understand it's a novel virus. We are facing this virus for the first time. We really do not know how the virus will progress. A natural course for any such viral infections is that as the disease progresses, as the pandemic progresses, the virus gradually loses its virulence. It becomes less dangerous, more infective, and gradually, when a large amount of population gets infected, even the infectivity rate goes down. So, every pandemic, it sees a peak, it plateaus, and then it starts slowing down. But when exactly are we going to see that plateau? That only the time can tell. We can only have mathematical modeling and we can predict. But so far, so many of our predictions have gone wrong since the onset of the pandemic. It's a new virus, it's a disease. I can say that we are doing well. So, despite being a country with resource crunch and with limitations, we have a good amount of hospitals and hospital resources, and we should be able to look after our population well.
Yes. So, my last question would be that how are you seeing this pandemic, uh, and how are the patients reacting to it? And what are you suggesting these patients, which are really very critical? And what are the frequent mistakes they are making that you would suggest we all should not make? And lastly, my second part of the question is, uh, what is the funniest thing that you've recently noticed while treating COVID patients?
Funniest thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll take the first part first. Your first part was that the usual patterns. So see, what we find is that most patients, 80 to 85% patients, they really do not have much problem. So with the current situation of the pandemic, I would suggest that most people who get infected, firstly, they should not panic. There's no reason to panic because most people will not really have a problem because of the disease. So firstly, even if they get infected or even if they get contacted with somebody who's infected, people usually panic that they have been in contact with somebody who was positive and they immediately panic. There have been cases of suicides. One of my own patients, the moment he learned that he was positive, he committed suicide. So these things
Yes.
should not happen. People should look after their mental health. People should realize that after all, it's an infection and most people will get well. So there is no reason to panic. People should look after their mental health. People should take it in a more positive stride, make efforts, and there's no reason to panic. So firstly, the moment a patient gets infected, the first advice I give to the patient is that if he's not very sick, he should stay at home. The
Yes.
most comfortable place for a person who is not very sick would be to just isolate himself or herself at home. Do not mix with population. There's no need to go to a hospital. Just stay at rest at home, monitor, and if there are any alarming symptoms that develop, then they can always come back to the hospital. Because we need to keep our resources focused on those patients who are sick, who are critical. So these patients, they have to be treated more meticulously. They require frequent monitoring, they require ventilation, they require ICU care. So we should focus our healthcare resources on these sicker patients, and the milder patients should just isolate themselves at home and come back to the hospital when they are critical or when they feel that there are any alarming symptoms or new symptoms have developed. Having said that, elderly people who are elderly or those who have serious medical conditions underlying, they are better observed in the hospital. For them, I would not say that they should stay at home. So if somebody is above 70 years of age or somebody who's got multiple medical conditions, somebody who is bedbound, if they get infected, they should be monitored inside a hospital so that if they worsen,
Yes.
measures can be immediately taken. Your second question was the funniest thing that I've seen in the hospital. Well, that would be, I'll have to think about it. The funniest thing. Uh, I would say the funniest thing is the ignorance of people. I keep getting funny questions from people who come to the OPD. So
Like,
there are so many rumors, there are so many myths which are roaming around in WhatsApp groups and on the social media, and people see them, get
WhatsApp.
convinced. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and people, that WhatsApp university is a dangerous place. People
Yes.
derive all the information from there, and
Definitely.
they come with queries which are actually laughable. So, I had a patient who came to me who was taking all sorts of weird treatments who he had read everywhere on WhatsApp. So he would, start at morning at 5 a.m. until the time he hits the bed in the night. He was taking something or the other, something herbal, something allopathic, something Unani, some kind of weird drugs, herbals, whatever he could lay his hands upon, because he was so scared of the virus. And he came to me with gastritis because of that. He was taking so many
Oh,
pills and so many herbals to save himself that the disease did not affect him. The therapy that he was using made him sick. So my advice to people is that do not believe in the WhatsApp knowledge, and rely only on information that is coming from valid, authentic sources.
sources.
Otherwise, don't
Yes.
fall prey to myths and rumors, and don't panic.
Right. Right. Shruti.
Yeah, in India, there are several health workers who are getting infected day by day by this deadly virus right now. So, what do you think are the major reforms that the country should adopt in saving the healthcare workers first?
So, Shruti, first of all, to do is only that we need to follow some infection control practices, and that's there in all the hospitals. So, protective equipment, the use of masks, the use of gloves, use of distancing in the hospital, not doing aerosol generating procedures unless very necessary, taking all precautions when we're doing any aerosol generating procedures. So, all these precautions are required. So, for that, what we need is that whoever is working in the COVID zone has to be properly educated, especially the paramedics, the nurses, the nursing staff, the paramedics who are working in the hospital, they need to be properly educated about these protective measures. Also, there's a drug called hydroxychloroquine, which has been advocated by ICMR for to be used as prophylaxis for these healthcare workers who are working in COVID areas. So that the dosing is only once a week, and all those healthcare workers who are working in these areas can take hydroxychloroquine. Most importantly, they should follow the protocols. They should not breach the protocols. Even during the biggest of the emergencies, the protocols should not be breached, because when a person gets affected, it's not only that person who gets affected. Along with him, all his close contacts, all the people that he goes and meets later, they also get affected. So one person can affect almost 10 more. So that's why the infection control practices, the infection control protocols must be strictly meticulously followed. There should be no breaches in the protocol.
Right. Right. I feel that that the lesser the knowledge we have, we are more prone to this virus. We see
That's
containment
true.
zones. People are getting affected not because they are getting out and mixing with the people more often. They are getting affected because they're not knowing what to do and what not to do.
Yeah.
Right.
You're right. You're right.
So
Actually, there's a lot lack of information, and what we should really focus on is that the NGOs and bright minds like you, and people who really can contribute outside the hospital, they should contribute, increase the awareness, and reduce the panic, so that people know the do's and the don'ts, like you just said. So
that's why
that's
we
what is
have
important.
experts like you with us.
Yeah. So see, there is no fun in being stupid and brave. There's a lot of people who feel that nothing is going to happen to me, and that
Yes. Yes.
unnecessary bravado is not required. So there's no need to panic. At the same point of time, unnecessary bravado is not required. So people should really know their do's and don'ts during these desperate times, and I'm sure it's a matter of few months we should be out of all this chaos.
We'll back to normal.